Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, put it on what you need. You're watching my channel. And if you like this video, don't forget you can comment, subscribe, share, and of course you can donate to my channel via Western Union or MoneyGram. You still have to contact me for details as to the location to which you'd have to send the money. Okay? All right. Let's talk about Jessie Hart versus Smith Jr. Forgot his first name for some reason because I was just looking at Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so it's just kind of entangled in that. It'll come Joe Smith Jr. That's his name. Well, Joe Smith Jr. of course won that fight. Dropped Jessie Hart late in the fight. I think it was the 8th round. And but he had him in all sorts of trouble throughout the fight. Now the thing with Jessie Hart, they were talking about excessive movement, which was true. But the other thing that Jessie Hart was doing, which I thought, because he had pretty decent defense, he was blocking a lot of the punches. I think one of his other problems is that Jessie Hart, in this particular fight, was not getting foot position properly. Now Joe Smith Jr., to his credit, was really hustling Jessie Hart to get into position. But two things Jessie Hart couldn't do was he couldn't fight in the pocket. He was a long-range fighter, so he clinched up in close range. And the other thing that was wrong, and I think this is what kept him from basically doing well in the fight, was he did not know how to fight just on the outskirts of the pocket against an opponent using your reach. Sit down on some of your punches to make sure you keep the guy outside the pocket. He wasn't sitting down on anything. And I think that, for the most part, was because he was moving so excessively. So he ended up losing that fight after he was dropped. Joe Smith Jr. pretty much won almost every single round of that fight, unanimously winning against Jessie Hart. I thought that Joe Smith Jr., though slower, was able to close the distance. He wasn't effectively cutting off the ring against Jessie Hart because Jessie Hart was moving so much. But when he did catch up with Jessie Hart, he let his hands go and pretty much dominated that fight. Now, here's the thing about Joe Smith Jr. He is underrated. One, of course, he's a part-time boxer, but nonetheless, one, he is coming off of a very long rest from boxing, about 10 months. Two, he did the right thing. He attacked Jessie Hart from the get-go. Never let up on him. When he could get a punch in, he tried to land to the body. Wasn't just headhunting. And three, most importantly, it was relentless. Now, Joe Smith Jr., like I said before, underrated boxer, has gotten a number of scalps. Okay? He's taken the scalp of Bernard Hopkins, a legend in the sport of boxing. He took the scalp of the Polish fighter who beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., stopping him. He took him. He's taking Jessie Hart's scalp. He's faced Dmitry Bivol. Dmitry Bivol also had a difficult time with him. Well, not difficult. He was dominating, but he got him in some trouble, I think, late in the fight. I think around the 8th round as well. I think he also, Joe Smith Jr., stopped another very high-profile fighter. I'm trying to remember who it is on their name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he's gotten a couple scalps well. And his reputation sort of precedes him now. I think he was beaten by, I forgot the kid, the Cuban, I think beat him. But he's been doing pretty damn good, to be honest with you. What do I expect of Joe Smith Jr. going into the future? Well, he's now the NABO champion. He will be facing, I do believe, NABO light heavyweight champion. He will be facing someone for the vacant WBO belt, which Canelo Alvarez had vacated. So, whoever that is, it could be Sergey Kovalev again. Who knows? That would be great. But he's definitely a threat, especially if he's got power, he's strong. If you don't control him, he will give you a hell of a lot of problems. Jessie Hart, though, made it to the finish line. He was content enough just to finish the fight. You could see that Jessie Hart was not interested in engaging at any time Joe Smith Jr. And, of course, his legs failed him because he was moving so excessively throughout the fight. And so he lost. He lost the fight. Of course, he's a top-ranked fighter, and the referee was sort of in his favor at a certain point. And I noticed a number of referees doing that, you know, trying to protect the A side of the fight. But the A side of the fight in this case, he was in all kinds of problems. And Joe Smith Jr. caught up to him and eventually dropped him. Didn't stop him, so credit to Jessie Hart on that, but he dropped him. And Jessie Hart was just solely on defense for most of the fight. With respect to other fights, I still haven't looked at the zone fight for the super middleweight championship between the two women, but I look forward to doing so. I want to talk about two more things. The first one being recent events in boxing. People asking, you know, who should Manny Pacquiao face next? And we hear a lot of people saying Errol Spence Jr. But here's the funny thing. When asked who Errol Spence Jr. should face next, most of you guys say Terrence Crawford. So I don't know how that's going to work out. The next upcoming fight for Terrence Crawford is going to be maybe sometime between now or June. But for Errol Spence, it's around the similar time as Manny Pacquiao. Now, here's the thing. Al Heyman's the guy that kind of sort of, you know, lines up fighters with each other. That's what he does. He's a manager. So it wouldn't be surprising to me that Errol Spence gets Manny Pacquiao next, because Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia, they're going to be busy with their fights. But who knows? With respect to Errol Spence, he's going to be available for a Pacquiao fight. So it looks like it may be that, because Errol Spence had said by the end of the year, he will be facing Terrence Crawford. So it looks like late in the year, he'll be facing Terrence Crawford. I think Manny Pacquiao will face Errol Spence next. What does that mean? That means that Terrence Crawford is now open to a Sean Porter fight. And I heard Al Heyman, Sean Porter, and his dad, they're all in agreement. They have no problem facing Terrence Crawford if they can't get Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence, which looks like they're not going to get Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence, which means that is a good matchup fight for Terrence Crawford. Now, Terrence Crawford's management, or they said, you know, Mike Carpenter said that Terrence Crawford was looking at the 154-pound WBO champion at the present point in time. That's just one of several considerations. And I do hear that Terrence Crawford's camp is talking about considerations for Errol Spence and Pacquiao. I wouldn't be surprised if he also has considerations for Sean Porter. That's a huge fight, and that's a big fight for Terrence Crawford. I'm looking forward to that, and of course I'm going to push for that. Now let's talk about Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez looks like he's going to be facing, on May 2nd, Billy Joe Saunders. Now, quite frankly, most of you guys out there want him to face Demetrius Andrade. It's not uncommon knowledge that that's what most of the fans want. Canelo, however, is going to be facing Billy Joe Saunders. Now, Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade are not on the same level. I think Demetrius Andrade is more skilled, and I think he is much more decisive in his wins against opponents. Billy Joe Saunders is usually up and down. However, for Billy Joe Saunders, who's in a higher weight class, super middleweight, for Canelo to face Billy Joe Saunders is not a bad ask. It's not a bad fight at all. And Billy Joe Saunders, once he comes in shape, once he comes ready to face Canelo, he should be very highly motivated. I sure hope he comes in shape. If he does come in shape to face Canelo Alvarez, he has a good chance of pulling off the fight. So we'll see. It's all about the conditioning and shape of Billy Joe Saunders and his excitement for the fight. This is the fight he wanted, so he can make a really good fight of it. I do hope so, because the only other guy I can think of that gives Canelo a heap of trouble is Demetrius Andrade. So there you go, people. That's what I got to say for now. I'm going to catch you guys later in the next video, sometime later on today. So you guys have a good one. I'm going to try and deal with this live stream thing that YouTube is causing problems with. May have to give them feedback. Until then, you guys have a great one.